everyone. It's a proud moment to host. Good afternoon. Am I live? I still cannot see Ittisha.
Hello?
Hi. Finally.
Hi.
Hi. It is a proud moment to host this young, lovely lady. Today, even PM Modi, the Prime Minister of India, is raving about her work. The one thing that charged me up was not just the work she did, it was how intelligently and how subtly she has managed to do this work. Let me introduce you to our next speaker, who's Ittisha Sarah. Now, the pristine Sangti Valley, which you'll now see in a few moments, is where nature whispers secrets, where humanity and people have lived in harmony with their environment. But with progress comes a price. Urbanization and the tide of tourism brought in pollution. When Ittisha visited for the first time, she could not unsee what she saw. She realized that pollution was actually damaging that environment. Now, growing up in Assam, very close to nature, she has a passion and a closeness and a deeper understanding of this. She chose to take her educational journey not down the corporate route, but to specialize in environmental sciences and sustainable development. Now she's made it her life mission to clean up and make sure to keep the places that are pristine and nature inspired just that way. So, witnessing the challenges, she was determined to safeguard Arunachal's pristine beauty, and she went right back there to start an initiative, the Northeast Waste Collective, which empowers the communities itself from the grassroots level to tackle waste and pollution in an innovative, sustainable manner. A true leader, she has a very unique blend of empathy with vision and a way to get and assimilate and mobilize self-help group, women collective, local communities. Without imposing on them, she takes them on a journey, makes them understand that they are the guardians of the future. And then you see a ripple effect. You see how people completely get involved and clean up and take care of their environments. As Ittisha once told me, it has to be from the ground up, and this is what she is doing. Let's share her presentation, her very own story in her very own words. Please, Yash, can you do the needful? Ittisha, we'll go into a Q&A right after the presentation, your presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much for your kind words.
In 2018, I was contacted by a friend who runs this travel company, and so he reached out to me and asked me if I could be the tour instructor for a group of kids from Assam Valley School, and if I could take them to Sangti Valley for a summer camp. When I came to Sangti Valley, of course, it is a beautiful valley, but the problem of waste, I could not unsee the problem of waste. So, although we were there only for a short duration, but with the children of Assam Valley, we organized a cleanup drive. And for the community, it was for the first time that someone from outside has come and is cleaning up their village. And then we made an installation as an object to collect waste, and we left right after the summer camps. But of course, it was not sustainable because our engagement with the community then was very limited. Hi everyone, I'm Ittisha Sarah. I hail from Guwahati, Assam. I was born and brought up in Guwahati. All my peers were appearing for interviews to get in the corporate sector, and I realized that I don't see myself there. That is when a friend told me about this course called social design. I felt as if the course was made just for me because it had the design element which promised creativity, and it had the social good element. So I think for me, the master's in social design has been the turning point in my life. I think that made me look at the world differently, think differently, and gave me the courage to do what I'm doing today. In 2020, because now we had built a relationship with the community, in 2020 the community reached out to us expressing their desire to organize a festival. So the young people of the village, they were aware of the Zero Music Festival, and they wanted to do something similar in Sangti as something that could give them some means of additional income. But we as a team were very clear that we did not we did not see much value in such kinds of festival, because we have seen how these festivals have not really helped the local community, and also has led these festivals have really led to the problem of mismanaged waste in these pristine locations. So we rather suggested to the community that how about you show the world what you have. So instead of people coming from cities to watch an artist from those cities perform in your location, how about they come to see what you have got? How about opening that up to the tourists so that tourists can come and experience how beautiful their New Year celebration is, and what other things their culture has, their village has. So the community bought the idea, and so that's how the idea of this festival, which we named as Monule Gathering. Mon means the tribe, the Monpa tribe. Yule means place, so the place of the Monpas. So a gathering in the place of the Monpas, Monule Gathering. That is exactly when we also pitched to them the idea or the need or the necessity of having a waste management system in place. When we started doing the cleanups, the villagers were very confused. When we were picking up trash from the river, they couldn't understand why we were doing this. They're like, हम तो कचरा नदी में फेंकते हैं ताकि जब बारिश आएगा, पानी बड़ा होगा और वो कचरा को लेके चला जाएगा. So they're like, we put our waste into the river because when it will rain heavily, the river will swell up and it will take away all the waste with it. And that's how we keep our village clean. So that was their idea of keeping their village clean. So we had to do a lot of awareness sessions, show them a lot of documentaries, videos, to make them understand the impact of their action. So we also try to explain them by connecting this with their religion. So the Monpas are Buddhists. So we try to explain them from the perspective of good karma and bad karma. So if you are throwing your waste in the river, your fishes are getting harmed, your birds are getting harmed, and all of this is bad karma. So the villagers understood that where is this waste which you throw into the river is actually reaching and what harm it is doing there. So yes, it was challenging, it was difficult, but I think they understood what we were trying to make them realize. Working with waste was not easy for them because it was not managed by someone else. It was the community who had to put in their hands into the waste and manage it. So that's when we pitched to them the idea of going zero waste, and the community bought in that idea too, and the whole village then got together and embarked on this mission called Mission Zero Waste. People would dump their garbage on some unused patch of land or on the slopes of the mountains or in the river. So alongside all the preparations for the festivals, there were cleanups happening in full swing with participation from all sections of the community, men, women, young, elderly, and even children. And then we had multiple workshops led by the community. So we had a 3 days beautiful festival where people came from outside, which gave the tourists an opportunity to learn about their culture and their various sustainable practices. So so the Monpas have a beautiful way of making paper from a tree, which they don't cut. They use the bark of the tree to make that paper. So there was paper making workshop. There was traditional prayer flag printing workshop, how prayer flags were traditionally printed using wooden blocks. Then cooking workshops and various other workshops. Their local games. So there were cultural performances, the Ajilamu dance, the Yak dance, cultural musical performances with their traditional musical instruments, and there were also some artists from the district, from the West Kameng district. So yeah, everything local, and tourists coming and experiencing that and valuing that. So we did some countless cleanups, and at the same time we were also creating makeshift infrastructure where waste could be segregated and stored. We also started training members from the community on waste segregation. So the community learned how to segregate the waste at source. We gave sacks to every household to store their dry waste in the sacks, and wet waste, once they learn to keep it separate, they manage the wet waste themselves, because that was something they were already familiar with. So they have their fields, they have their animals, their cattle. So for wet waste, we did not have to intervene. It was only the dry waste that we helped the community manage. With the festival, the waste management system of Sangti Valley also got kick-started. So the festival was a completely zero waste festival, where we made sure that no waste generated from the festival was burnt or dumped, and everything was sent for recycling.
What an amazing journey, Ittisha. What an amazing and inspiring journey. I think you've shared a lot of how your journey started. What I'd love to know are the gaps between that story. What inspired you to help and identify Sangti Valley as the first place you wanted to go and clean up, versus Assam, which is your hometown?
So I don't think I chose Sangti, but I would rather say Sangti chose me, because I had just decided, like after my master's in social design from Ambedkar University, Delhi, I decided to come back to address the problem of waste in the Northeast. So I hadn't decided where in the Northeast to begin with, but it all happened very organically. I feel so. 2017 December is when I completed my masters, um, and I came back right after that, because I realized that there's a lot happening in waste management in the metropolitan cities, but there's very little happening in the Northeast. So when I got back, I joined Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who's a waste management expert, and he belonged to this place called Tinsukia in Assam. And so he was working in Switzerland with SCAT Consultancy. And so when he learned about his hometown being declared as the dirtiest town, the Chief Minister of Assam, the former Chief Minister of Assam back then, Horbananda Honowal, he reached out to him and asked for his help. So yeah, so after my masters, my journey with waste, like professionally, like working with someone, my first experience was with Dr. Sanjay Gupta, when I was working with him in trying to design a waste management system in Tinsukia. Am I audible?
Absolutely. I've just switched off so I can give you the full screen.
Oh, okay, sure. So, so yeah, after that, I collaborated with the Batti project. So the Batti project was about lighting up remote villages in Arunachal Pradesh. So, so we would trek for many days to reach those remote villages and help them by providing them individual lighting systems for every household. So it was during this journey of ours into the remote places of Arunachal is when we realized that, you know, even in the remotest parts, plastics plastic has different kinds of plastics have uh, reached and is creating a problem. And yeah, it is then that we started Northeast Waste Collective. And as shown in the video, it was also around that time in 2018 when a friend asked me to be the tour instructor. And that's how I ended up in Sangti. And I saw the same problem in Sangti. And then when in 2020 the community got in touch, so that's when, yeah, that's how Sangti happened, basically.
Very, very interesting. I mean, you hopped several places and you did a lot of learning on the way. What was the key learning that you applied when you built Northeast Collective? And if I'm not being rude, I'd love to know how young were you when you did this?
No, so 2017 is when I completed my master's. 2018 is when I started. I did not start out with a plan, I would say. I just decided that I'll start sharing whatever I know. So it was 2018. I was in Guwahati, my hometown, and I just started taking workshops. I started with my own school. I studied in Delhi Public School, Guwahati. So I started with my own school, started taking awareness workshops, and as I had mentioned, I collaborated with the Batti project. So the Batti project was started by two amazing people, Mervin and Rajiv from Bangalore. So they were collecting electronic waste as donations in Bangalore, and with that money, they were trying to light up remote villages in Arunachal. So, so we started the same thing in Guwahati then. Back then, there was no electronic waste collection happening in Guwahati. So we were the first ones who started electronic waste collection in Guwahati. So we would similarly, like how in Bangalore they were doing it, we were collecting it in Guwahati as donation. And from the proceeds generated by sending it for recycling, we would then use it to light up villages in Arunachal Pradesh. So, and also, like my master's, my thesis in my master's program was on electronic waste. So it was just that strong desire, I would say, to do something about it in my own place. So yeah, since I knew how how problematic this whole thing about the thing of e-waste recycling in the country is, and it is something that is I would say so dark, but it's invisible. You know, all of us are using electronic products at every step of our lives now, but I think very few of us really know what happens after our products reach the end of their life. So yeah, I think it's just I didn't have a plan of what exactly am I going to do, but it was just that very strong desire and will that I need to do something about it. And I just started sharing with what I knew, and then I think one door after the other kept opening, and very organically my journey has taken its shape, I would say. Yeah.
Idisha, you're being very sweet, but I also have been to Arunachal Pradesh, and they're not that welcoming. They don't say, "Hey, come in and do this and change us." They think they're okay. Like we saw in the video when you talked about the water problem or putting the waste into the river. They said, "Yeah, but that's how we do it. That's how we've traditionally done it." How did you convince the locals? Now, that's a challenge. Even getting them to talk to you, communicate with you, or involving them is a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, like I said, like I said, it has happened organically. So it was the villagers who initially had expressed their desire to do a festival, right? So I think we took that. I took that as an opportunity to make them realize, ki, okay, look, if you want to do a festival, it's a great idea. It's a great thing that you want to do a festival. But then this will mean that that the world is going to now learn about your village, and you will be attracting a lot of tourists. And with tourists, you will also be attracting a lot of waste. So there is no other way to do this than to have a waste management system in place. So it was like, if you want to do a festival, great, but if you want to do it, you also need to have a waste management system in place. And I think, yeah, they understood that. Then they got on board with us to, address the problem. But then, of course, when they actually got into it to solve the problem, I did. There were obviously challenges along the way, but yeah, that's how we got them into it. And then, yeah, like waste in itself is not something very pleasant, and politics in the village is another, I would say, is something that I hadn't imagined would affect our work so much, but it did, because people were already divided on political lines, and then here we were trying to unite them for something as difficult as waste, or for something as not too pleasant, as something unpleasant. That was definitely challenging. But I think the fact that I kept at it, because there were a lot of people in the beginning, but they left one by one. Everyone left. But the fact that I think they saw that I have been very persistent about it, and trying to explain them or tell them the same thing again and again. I moved into their village, and I think I think they got it, that's something that they really need to do. And because everyone was, when in 2018, there was only one homestay. And right now, every other household has either opened has either started one homestay or is planning to start one. So, yeah, tourism, I think, is also making them realize, because as a household, they were generating much less. But when they are now catering to tourists, they're generating much more. So, yeah, it's a problem, I think, that they are experiencing themselves. And yeah, although challenging, I think they uh, do get it, why it is important. And yeah, and also I think sorry, yeah.
Sorry. I think one of the biggest things I've noticed about the whole initiative, and having seen and worked with you for a while, is that your ability to involve the self-help groups became a key driver. Can you tell me, and the way you impacted their lives also? So it's not part one is getting them to trust you and involve them in the thing. Part two was getting to win their trust, like you've done Anna Dection. Can you tell us about Anna Dection's case and give us to understand this whole scenario about involving self-help groups and then keeping them at it? Because it's not like they always keep driven. You need to keep driving them.
Right. So I think, to be honest, so when I first started this, when we initially like started in 2020, there were no self-help groups in the village. So I
True.
think we are also very grateful to Arunachal State Rural Livelihood Mission, who's doing a wonderful job in creating self-help groups everywhere, like in every village. Um, so it helps us to then mobilize people because they are already then organized in groups. So clearly this worked for us in Sangti as well. It was then easier for me to mobilize people. So I think how I was able to get them on board or make them a part of this was uh, there's so a lot. So you must have heard this phrase, waste is wealth, and a lot of people now jumping into waste because you can make money out of it. Yes, it is true. I mean, yeah, you can look at waste as a resource and make money and make sustainable enterprises from it. But when we are talking of a remote mountain setting, that is not so much the case, at least in the beginning, because waste management in mountain regions is much more challenging than in low-lying areas. So, in this, one thing I have always, right from the beginning till now, I have not changed is that I have never uh, asked anyone to be a part of this by telling them is that there is this financial incentive for you, and waste, you can make money from waste, so come be a part of it. I have never ever tried to get people into it by saying this. So one thing that I have um, told them in the beginning, and I continue to tell them again and again, is that it is your problem and it is only you who can solve it, and no one else can solve it for you. Because unlike in cities and towns where you have the government, where you have a dedicated government department who will provide waste management services, uh, it is not the case for rural India. In rural India, by law, there is no government department who is obligated to provide waste management services in rural areas. So it is then the community who has to come together to solve it. So I think that's what I kept telling them, and yeah, and that then became the foundation to create the community-led waste management system.
You
And
know,
because
sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt. There was another thing also that came to my mind, that you did not take a lot of funding and external funding, a lot of funding, and I know that you're strapped for funding still. You did not take a lot of money to do what you did. You were right up there. You put your money where your mouth is, your own money, and you got a very small grant, which you started and used. So there are two parts of this question. One goes back to the earlier part, which says, can you give us an example like Anna Deckton or someone who who you've kind of changed their lives and changed the lives of their community under them? And also, how did you manage it on a shoestring budget?
okay, going back to Anna Dechin. So Anna Dechin is the president of the PLF, of one PLF, one primary level federation. It's called the Namdoling PLF. So yeah, I mean, when you have a leader of the primary level federation who's understood this whole thing so well, then it becomes even more easier, I think, to mobilize the other women. So she's this woman who's completely understood, internalized, embraced why we are doing this and why it is important to do this, and she's been there through thick and thin. And so she's that one leader who is really helping us helping us get more and more women on board. Uh, um, So there's Anna Dechen, and as individuals, when you're saying, I would also like to talk about Pema Sange. He's a male member of the community, but like Anna Dechen, even he like even is someone who did not have any idea about waste management, but he understood what we were trying to do and why we were trying to do it, and embraced sustainability in his life like no other, I would say. So he can I share a bit about him?
Please, yes.
Yeah, so Pema Sange, uh, after he learned about our work, he became a part of it. He even became a part of the waste management committee. As I said, so today we have a community-led waste management system where men play a part and women play a part. But initially, we were not able to get all the men on board, but there were few men who understood
I'm
and
going
who
to
were.
fault you for a moment because all the people may not know why you're saying this. So just let me put context to it. Arunachal Pradesh as a state is very woman strong, is very matriarchally led. It does have a very strong male population also, a very fierce, I must say, because you know about Arunachal's rich history. But also the women are very, very much in the forefront of change. So going back to what Ittisha says, the reason we're talking about Pemaji is because she must have had to break the last bastion to go into and to manage to get the men on board. Sorry, Itza, I wanted to just set the context. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you so much. So then initially when we couldn't have all the men, like how the women are leading the segregation, the secondary segregation in the community-led waste management model. Um, mm, I also wanted to make the men part of the model, which is now the case. Now even the men are equally involved in the waste management system of the village. But earlier, when the men were not a part of it, then there were a handful of men who were helping us, and one of them was Pema Sange. So he was part of the waste management committee, and he, along with the 4 other male members of the 8-membered waste management committee, we had 4 males and 4 females. Pema Sange was one, and he has a Bolero pickup, so he would, volunteer his time, effort, energy, give his vehicle, and also his service as a driver to collect the waste. And along with the 3 other men in the committee, the collection would happen. So that's how a collection was happening, like collection of waste from the entire village and transporting it to the material recovery facility was initially happening that way. So then, as Pema got so closely involved and understood about the need for reducing plastics in our lives and managing the waste that we generate in our lives properly, as he understood it more, he took certain steps in his life. He built a homestay, and the homestay, he tried to build it using natural materials. So today, if you look up, it's called Sejor Homestay, Tscjor. It's one of the most cute and cozy and natural homestays in Sangti. So he has made his homestay using waste wood. Basically he didn't even have to buy buy raw material. He got it all for free because all fellow villagers were throwing that the bark of the bark of the tree, basically. So he used the bark of the tree to make his homestay, the exterior of his homestay. So then after that, he also asked me for glass bottles from the material recovery facility. So all the glass bottles that were being segregated and stored in the MRF, he asked a part of it, and he used the used glass bottles, beer bottles, to make the seating area, the outdoor seating area of his homestay. So initially, when he planned to do this, he was discouraged by everyone people were like, it'll break, and that's not a great idea. But he's someone who if he decides to do something, he will try it out for himself, and then if he fails, he'll not do it. So he went ahead with it, and if you go even today, it's been so many years, at least 1 year now, 1 year or more than a year now. It's a lovely space to sit and chill, and he's now become like a trendsetter, because even other villages are now coming to me and asking me to store glass bottles, and they want to do something with glass bottles, because they are also constructing homestays. So yeah, and many things, like in his homestay, he doesn't give packaged drinking water. Even when tourists ask for packaged drinking water, he makes them realize that what the water I will give you is pure stream water, pure Himalayan water, and it is much better than what you're getting in this bottled water, bottled drinking water, packaged drinking water. And so he doesn't provide mineral water bottles, he doesn't provide any disposables. So he also has a campsite, and in his campsite, he also allows people to come and pitch their own tents if they want to. And some people also want to cook themselves, so he also allows that, but he doesn't allow them to use disposables. He allows them to use, he rents out his cutlery for the guests who want to cook themselves. Stories like these from the village give me hope, and I feel he can truly become the ambassador, and we can together try to inspire more people to take up these steps in their lives. Sonia, you're on mute.
I said, I totally believe you, because I've seen that homestay and it's truly, truly beautiful. So, talking about tourism, and since this is the tourism group, the tourism segment that I host, can you tell me how you managed to combine the fact of an event, of environmental footprints and tourism in the minds of the locals? How did you manage to balance these three together? So one was you were creating a festival, that's for sure. Now that becomes an opening event, and we saw the moment that the festival started happening, people started coming, influencers came, they started putting pictures out, it was there. And like you rightly said, that kind of gave them the hope, because it was also economically successful for them. But now, having done all that, how do you give them a long-term vision for this? How do you keep them on the flow? So doing something to start with, like you have done. At what point did you realize that Sangti is now a zero-waste village? And the second question is, how will you keep it this way? How do you think they will keep it this way? My two questions.
Okay. This whole thing about a zero waste village, honestly, I still like to keep them on their toes. I don't tell them that you are zero waste already. So if we go by the definition of it, if we go by the definition of Zero Waste International Alliance, it says that if you're able to divert 90% or more of the waste that you generate from going to the landfills, you are a zero waste community, village, etc. And that we have, of course, been able to achieve. So by that definition, yes, we are zero waste. But I think if you look at visual cleanliness, I think Sangti still has to work on that. Although, so I think, I think I or the community will proudly call itself zero waste once we are able to address the visual cleanliness bit of it also, I feel, because it is not unlike yeah, I think we still need to work on the visual cleanliness bit, but as a system, as a system, it is we have a system that is that has achieved the zero waste criteria as laid down by Zero Waste International Alliance. So that's about the zero waste village part. And how going forward, how do I make sure that it remains like this? um, so I have this year my plan is to really introduce or really introduce properly and also reinforce, like some people will already know about it, but for some it will still be something new. Like this whole idea of responsible tourism is something that I really want to get uh, really want the people to understand. So this year I really want to work a lot on this whole idea of responsible tourism. So all this while it has been waste management, and now waste management becomes a part of responsible tourism, and within the and yeah, I want to make them understand this whole thing about responsible tourism, because they don't know what over tourism has done in a lot of places in India, in a lot of mountain villages. What over tourism has done, they don't know. So right now is the time when it is really booming, no, in a village like Sangti, where earlier there was only one homestay. Now every household is opening one. So yeah, so I really want to make them understand I want to make them witness or see, how over tourism has destroyed so many places in our own country. And yeah, and um, yeah, and make them understand that the practices that they inherently had are sustainable practices, and you just need to realize that you need to hold on to those practices, and those are the practices that will make you stand out, and you need not copy what and you need not copy the city dwellers. And yeah, if you just need to hold on to your roots, and that's when the world will value you, that's when tourists will keep coming. And yeah, so that's my plan for this year. Yeah.
When we spoke, yeah, earlier when we spoke, um, and when you helped us so much to understand Sangti Valley, to film in Sangti Valley, uh, you showed us a side of slow tourism that I don't think even books or online can even discuss. Whether it was going to Mandala Top to meet the shepherds, or it was going to the monasteries, or it was going to meet the women who making the local outfits. To me, that is a part of responsible tourism. Slow tourism, creating opportunity for the locals, showing the local things the local way without eroding them. As it's a tour segment again, and I requested you to tell us 10 places that you would say would qualify as places that would help not just enhance the life of a tourist visiting, but also the locals. What would be the places? You can go to 10, you can go to 5, whatever you're comfortable with.
You mean different locations?
Different places, different locations where you can say, okay, this is a part of flow. Like you took us to the cheesemakers.
Right. Different locations. Okay. If I think of places close by to Sangti, first of course you should visit. Everyone should visit Sangti. And so in the same valley, you have Bishum Fudung. Bishum Fudung is another beautiful place. It's a village, a very small village, and there's this the highlight, I would say, of your visit to Bishum Fudung could be there's a property run by by a villager. his name is Lobsang Sherap. He's lucky to have got this place to himself, where it's like a mini beach. So you have the river, and he's made some cottages, and you have a sandy beachy stretch. So that's like the highlight. And it's just that one property, and there's nothing. There are like just one or two houses close by. So if you want like slow, like slow travel, like spending time in the lap of nature completely. Yeah, you have the river, you have the mountains, you have the forest, you have that beach to yourself. And yeah, and so you cannot take your car to that place. You'll have to park it, and then you have a beautiful 10-minute hike. You'll have a hanging bridge on the way, and then you'll walk through the oak forests, and then you'll reach that place. And from there you can also go for hikes. Now these are again very pristine virgin trails and routes. So there's 1 day hike, and then there's also a 4 day trek. And if you go for that 4 day trek, you'll get to see some breathtaking waterfalls, completely virgin. And yeah, that was place number one. Sorry, I get too lost in explaining because it's very beautiful.
The gentleman's name was Lushang.
His name is Lobsang Sherap.
Lobsang Sherap.
Yeah, he's also someone who's really understood the meaning of responsible tourism, and is doing it really responsibly. Another guy who I really feel proud of, because he's not giving packaged drinking water. Even he's not giving. Yeah, but that's not the case with all the homestays in the valley, even in Sangti. So that's something I also want to work with the homestay owners, and any inputs in this regard will also be very helpful, because we need to strike a balance between what a tourist needs. And yeah, I mean, I understand people coming from outside India might really need, but he also hosts a lot of foreign tourists. So yeah, I am also curious to understand how he does that. Yeah, and whatever support.
Can you spell the name?
It's Lobsang.
Oh no, the gentleman you just spoke about, the second experience you spoke about.
Yeah, you want his spelling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Lobsang.
First was Bishop's Podang, and it was Lobsang's homestay.
Yeah, it's one only. I'm at place number 1 only. Yeah. So he takes people on hikes, treks. Yeah. That's Fudung. Then you have then in the same valley you have Zimthung. Zimthung is also a beautiful place. It's a little higher up. You have a lot of apple. You can pluck apples yourself. Apples, peaches, Zimthung. Then you have Chug. Chug is recently becoming very famous. Chug Valley is another. Chug and Sangti, they're said to be brothers, like siblings. They say Chug Valley and Sangti Valley. So it looks also similar. And yeah, Chug is a beautiful valley. You have Chug now has a museum. A museum. So tourists can now experience that.
Museum, they call it. Sorry to interrupt. A Mompa Museum, they call it.
Monpa Museum, yeah. So the idea of a museum is also something basically this is something that we had done in 2020 as part of the Monual Gathering in Sangti. We had revived an old Monpa stone house and created a museum. However, we did it only during the festival, and so Chug also recently there was a similar festival, and they created the museum during the festival, and I'm very happy to learn that they have not, they have kept the museum, and now even tourists can visit. So then in Chug, in Chug, Sangti, all of these places, you have the indigenous water mills. So if you go to Sangti, Chug, you can also see these indigenous water mills. Basically, it's powered by the stream water, and they grind their corn in it, and it's a community-owned system. Then, of course, the sustainable farming practices in Chug, and the Cosmos flower. Locally they call it the I love you flower. If you pluck the leaves, ILOVEYOU would be the exact number of petals that you would pluck if you so locally they call it I love you flower, and it's basically the cosmos flower. So in October the whole valley is pink and white in color. So yeah, Chug. Then Lubrang is also a village where you have the Brokpas. Brokpas are the yak herders. Lubrang is a dreamy village, I would say. It's not unexplored, I would say, by tourists. And Lubrang also has the potential of responsible tourism. Of course, they have something called they grow a lot of star anise. They call it lishi locally. So but there also a lot of selective felling of the tree was happening, because the lishi plants are very the stem or the trunk is very, very straight. So a lot of selective felling was happening because people were cutting and using it for construction and all. For fencing, etc. So last year or last to last year, they did a festival called the Lishi Festival, where the idea was to make the community realize that they need to do sustainable harvesting of Lishi. So that Lubrang is one beautiful village. Then of course you have Mandala. Then you have if you go from Mandala towards Nagajiji, you have Womaling. Womaling is a beautiful place. Again, no one knows of these places. I feel lucky because I live there, that I have been able to witness these places. So Womaling, there's a monastery there now, and they consider the place holy. You will also see houses of the yak herders there. It's a beautiful hike, basically, through the forest, and a forest full of rhododendrons. So, and they have small lakes. So Womaling is very. Sorry?
How do you pronounce the name?
Womaling. It's WOMALING, Womaling.
And it was Mandala you mentioned, and there was another place you mentioned.
Nagajiji. So this is between Mandala and Nagajiji, Womaling. Yeah, okay. Where I had taken Santosh. So where I had taken Santosh is with Santosh I did not reach Womaling. It was little ahead of Mandala is where Santosh and I had gone to meet the yak herders. But if you go further, little bit more ahead, you will reach Womaling. Then a beautiful hike between Mandala and Womaling is the Misopsa. Misopsa is a flat grazing land with Brokpa's sheep herders living there. That's also a beautiful short day hike that tourists can do. It's beautiful. And then if you from Mandala, so one way goes to Nagajiji and the other way goes to Fudung. And you can, from Mandala, you can also get out at Shergaon. So that whole stretch between Mandala till the time you come out at Shergaon is very beautiful. There are many villages there. So there's this village called Morshing. In Morshing also you have a museum. This old man has done a phenomenal job in putting a museum together. He hasn't gotten help in curating it, so it will not look how we are used. I mean, the language will not be the kind of museums we are used to, but the artifacts that he's managed to collect over time, that is breathtaking. And yeah, so Morshing, that museum is there. Then you have the Lagela monastery. It's one of the oldest monasteries.
Labella.
Lagela spelling, I'm also not very sure. I'll check and get back. Lagela monastery, that's also one of the oldest monasteries. um there's this village called Khelong. So from Khelong, there's this valley called New Crook Valley. So again, I was very lucky to have been able to do a trek to this valley. And I have done a lot of treks in my life, and I don't think I have reached a place so beautiful in just 5 hours of a trek. In just 5 hours of a trek, you are in a different world. It is so beautiful, and it is a red panda habitat. So
Wow.
red panda habitat. We also we had gone. So I had gone with locals, and we also had WWF people with us, and it was us who put the signboard for the first time there, that this is New Crook Valley and it's a red panda habitat.
How do you
So
spell it?
New
New
Crook,
Yeah.
NYUK, Nuke, hyphen
NYUA. Sorry.
N.
NY.
I'll put it in the chat box. Should I once? It's NYUK, Nuke, NYUK, Nuke, hyphen RUK, Nuke Rook Valley.
How wonderful. Thank you for this journey. Now, today, a very, very controversial and very spot on question. Today, someone meaning the Prime Minister of India, a few days ago, did a podcast on your work. How does that feel? How does that feel for someone who's worked and struggled single-handedly without ever looking at the numbers or her profitability or the bottom line? Tell me how it feels. Just the emotion.
I think that's what I feel. That's what got us this, I feel. Because I think to be recognized by the Prime Minister is a big thing, I feel. And I had never ever thought this will ever happen. And I think what you just said, that just the fact that all of us were doing it honestly, wholeheartedly, uh, my teammates, the entire community, because no one was doing it for financial gains. I think this collective honesty, I feel, has been able to manifest. I think together somehow we manifested this because of the purity of intentions that all of us had, I think. So this came like a surprise. I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, a lot of people asked me how to apply for Man Ki Baat. What did you do? How did you apply? I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing. It came as a complete surprise. In fact, the video that he has, the 116th Man Ki Baat episode, this video that I shared with you. So the footages that you will see, it's during Monule, it's of the Monule gathering time,
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was one video that I had uploaded on YouTube long back, and not like I have a very active channel, so it was just there lying there, and they picked it up from there. I mean, I was not even contacted for any footages or anything. So it yeah, it came as a very big surprise, and it was so well received by the community. They took so much pride. They were all so full of pride that the Prime Minister has taken the name of their small village, Sangti. That Prime Minister took took the name of their village, they were really very proud of it. And yeah, so much that the men now are a part of the model. So now I
Yeah.
can proudly say that we have a model where secondary segregation is led by the women and collection is completely now led by the men of the village. So yeah.
Beautiful. That's a big achievement. What next for you? I know, having spoken to you on a personal basis, that you want to go to the next village, the next village, the next village. Tell me, what's next for you?
Yeah, one is, of course, I would like to do this in as many villages possible. So WWF has reached out to us to do this in Chuk Valley, in Thembang. Oh, another place that I forgot to mention is Thembang,
It's
which is,
yes. A part
yeah,
of
Thembang.
Sangti. Yeah.
Yeah, Thembang is about 40 kilometers, I think, from Sangti. It's a
Beautiful.
potential UNESCO World Heritage Site. But again, the problem of mismanaged waste is there also. So WWF has reached out to us for Chug and Thembang. Apart from that, the DC, the Deputy Commissioner of West Kameng, also wants us to do this in Bomdila, so which is urban. She wants us to integrate the urban self-help groups there. So this, of course, and apart from waste management, the fact that I'm there in this village, I'm also trying to do other community development activities in the village. So last year, some of these wishes of mine also kind of came true. I would always think, that I'm there in the village. Can I do more? Can I do something more, going beyond waste management? And I would imagine, what if I get my friends, I have a house, I'll host them, can my friends come and volunteer and do something for come and engage with the community, teach them something. So these wishes of mine came true last year. So from last year we started this thing where it started with Eco Champs. So last year we hosted
Yes.
a yeah, last year we hosted a summer camp for the kids of Sangti called the Eco Champs. I realized that unlike in cities where children have a lot of options to engage in different activities during their summer vacation, in the village they don't have anything to do. So we started Eco Champs, which was basically environmental education through activity-based learning and sports and arts. So for art, I invited my friend. She's an artist from Guwahati. So she stayed with us. She engaged with the kids, taught them a lot of things. They had a lot of fun, and they created murals, which is also a part of the video that you made. Yeah, a lot of wall paintings that you see in Sangti are created by her and the kids. And then for sports we had a volunteer named Peter, who is now part of our team. He came in as a volunteer but who's now a part of our team. So he taught the kids rugby and football. So that's how it started. And then then Peter got more of his friends to volunteer. So we had an English teacher named Lisa, who again we hosted her. So she taught English, because we realized that, although the kids of Sangti are so talented, so sharp, so smart, but they struggle with speaking in English. And even the teachers with the best of intentions are not able to help with that, because even they are not so comfortable in speaking in English because of their education. So so Lisa taught English in the government school, in the private school, and then she would also take tuitions, all for free, at our house after school hours. So that happened. And then another friend of Peter, Impana, she's a dancer. She runs Vyomi Arts Center in Goa. She came down and she taught Bharatnatyam to the kids of Sangti. And it was so well received by the community, because at the end she presented a like a dance performance where the kids enacted a story, a story on like a Buddhism, basically a Buddhist story with their deities, and a story with a moral with their deities and their demons, and that was portrayed through Bharatnatyam. And the elders of the village received it so well. And yeah, all of this. So basically, I also want to do a lot of parallel community development initiatives. And with Peter now having joined us, so I am also, I mean, I was a basketball player, and basketball is my long lost love, which now has come back to my life, I feel, with Peter joining the team, because he's also a basketball player, and he's also been a very important member of the Khelo Rugby initiative in India. So like how the Khelo Rugby initiative is about identifying um, um, kids from the underprivileged community and training them and making them rugby players. From the initiative, there are about 26 players who've made it to the India team, and I'm so lucky that Peter now wants to do something similar in basketball. So we are now planning to build a basketball court in Sangti and start a basketball program, because West Kameng also doesn't have a basketball team. And you're on mute. Yeah.
Just shaking my head.
Okay. Yeah, so basketball, so kids, we felt really have a lot of potential, but no exposure, and
No opportunities.
yeah, and there's no team. We also attended some basketball tournaments at the capital, Itanagar, and yeah, there was no participation from West Kameng. So we now want to build a basketball court, start a basketball program, and have a team from West Kameng. And yeah, eventually we also want to see someone from Arunachal making it to the India team. Yeah.
Oh, I can so believe it's going to happen. I'm going to have to thank you. We overshot our time. I could go on and on. It's such a pleasure and an honor speaking to you. Peter, welcome on board. I know the work you all are doing firsthand, and I know it's some great work. Congratulations again on the big roundup today. I'm still waiting for what you know, right, Ittisha? The profile and the bank account number.
Sorry.
All right. But thank you very much, because you're truly, in the purest spirit, a human being who's done it on her own. And so I feel you should take a bow when you say you single-handedly turned Sangti Valley with your community into the first zero waste village of Arunachal. And I know a lot of villages there, and I know they're pristine, but the ones where people have started coming to, they're not that pristine anymore. So I really think you'll be very effective in Bombdila, you'll be very effective in the places. One, because the community is also very disciplined by nature, and once they come into board, they give you their commitment. Here's wishing you all the best, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure.